One Focus Radio.
Welcome to the show, it's Dyer's Daily. Keeping in the know, it's Dyer's Daily. We've got chat, we've got discussion, nice and slow, ain't no rushing, reading emails and events. Sometimes he makes no sense. It's time to start the show, it's Dyer's Daily. He'll be there in a mo, it's Dyer's Daily. We've got plays, we've got interviews, even stuff that's in the news. Local and otherwise, come and try it on for size, it's Dyer's Daily.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Dyer's Daily for Wednesday the 7th of November. Wow, the month's going fast, for 2018. Yes indeed, in today's show I will be talking about content. What is it? How did it get there? And why is there so much of it? Before I get into that conversation and rather lengthy debate, let's hear some information about some content. Podcast to be particular. Here we go.
Hello, fiends! This is Cadavra Quivery. I'm the host of an all-new horror series named after the place where I live, The Cellar. In each episode, I open my great big book and select a story that's certain to chill you. So watch for The Cellar, coming soon from the creator of Pulpery Theater, Pete Lutz. In the meantime, don't take candy from stranglers.
Have you ever been reading through a stack of comics and thought, maybe I should see what this Arkham Asylum game is all about? Or been playing Marvel vs. Capcom and felt like you were at a real disadvantage since you didn't know who half the characters were? Well, Play Comics is the show for you. I'm Chris, and each episode we take a look at video games based on comic properties and how well they stick to that source material. So whether you know the comics and want to know how all these games work, or you know the games and want to find out where all this craziness came from, go check out Play Comics at playcomics.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Dyer's Daily.
Wherever you go these days, there just seems to be content everywhere. People are offering all sorts of things. In the media industry, it is everywhere around us. People blame the internet, but I tell you, it's always been there. It's just been there in a much more small and manageable way. And, you know, I don't know where to start with this. Because I've been thinking about this for a while, and being from a media background, I shouldn't be shunning this in any way. I should be going, oh, okay, yeah, all content is good. Or maybe the argument should be, I should actually be saying more content is bad because I want you to listen to my content. But that's the thing. Everybody out there now is a content creator. If you are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, any of these things, you are a content creator. We are surrounded by it. I know people that would rather read about somebody's dog on Facebook than watch something on Netflix or Amazon or listen to music on Spotify. It's all around us. Whenever you want something, it's there. And I think the thing that people forget is that not only are we spending millions creating new content, we've got all this other older content that is still there and still being offered, and thus taking eyes and ears and minds away from that new stuff. Now, I saw this Newsnight thing the other day, one of the debates they do, you know, where it's basically a counter scaremongering. It's terrifying, really, because you know, they're all there talking about the rise of Netflix and Amazon Prime and the amount of content providers that are out there. But all I took from it was BBC good, Netflix bad. You know, and that is pretty obvious considering that it's on the BBC, but still, one thing that really bothers me is they're always going on about how much something costs. Oh, the Crown costs like 90 million. Who cares? Who cares how much it costs? Because sometimes the cost doesn't matter. People are going on YouTube and watching vloggers, and they're spending nothing on their streaming service or their video stuff. You know, they've spent money on the equipment, but to host it on YouTube, in most cases, is free. So the cost of something doesn't matter. It's about the content. But the BBC keep going on about, oh, well, you know, they're spending money. We couldn't possibly compete. Well, here's the thing. Don't compete. Don't compete, because there is one thing you can beat Netflix at, which is all those boring consumer programs and those rather interesting but not in a good way antique shows that you do. Do all that stuff. You know when ITV does like This Morning and things like that. Netflix aren't going to touch that with a barge pole. Because this thing I don't like is when they harp on about... they go on about... Oh, drama. Do you know how much drama makes up my viewing? Probably about 20%. I'm more interested in documentaries, comedies. So you're going on about spending millions in drama and how you couldn't possibly compete with Netflix. But I'm not watching the drama. You're scaring me away with all this drama stuff. Okay, things like The Bodyguard are huge hits at the moment. That's fair enough. But not everybody wants the same thing. And that is why it's great that there's so much of this content out there. I mean, I spend some evenings listening to 1940s radio shows on obscure stations somewhere in the world. That's just what I'm into. BBC aren't going to offer me anything to do with that unless you want to listen to Hancock's Half Hour for the millionth time. You know, I don't really... it doesn't really cater for me. And they've got this thing at the moment about catering for the youth market. They're obsessed with the youth market, despite the fact they got rid of BBC Three, which I think has been noted down as something of an error, because why would you close down the audience that you are trying to attract? Let's just close down Radio 1 right now and then complain that we don't get any listeners from that age bracket. But the thing is, I think what some people forget is that it isn't about how new the content is or even what it's aimed at. Sometimes I can see 60-year-old content that still relates to me. And do you know why? Because it's all human. Everything is human in some way. Okay, some of our ways have changed. I get that. Some of the ways that we think about things, some of the things that are shown from years ago have got quite questionable things in them. But we're still expected to sit down and watch a Carry On movie with breasts popping out at all times and people going over women and whatnot. You know, all this stuff from previous generations that's still being viewed. And we're not going, non-PC. We're still watching it. They're still showing it. Because there is so much content out there. And I personally think we're in something of a golden age. Certainly in audio. 30 years ago, I wouldn't be able to sit here and have a conversation with you. I probably would have been shunned to the back of the queue. Because I didn't want to speak with a BBC accent, and because I don't want to play Wham records. Not because I don't like Wham, but because it's not kind of the style I'm going for. I would have had to have perhaps been a pirate, or done it on cassette tapes and sent it round to people. But then what would happen is you give them the tape and they just tape over it. You can't tape over this. You can just delete it and forget about it. But yeah, I don't know. This whole content thing, the Newsnight thing was kind of ironic in some ways and a little bit on the hypocritical side, because they were going on about British shows, not American. We've got this kind of scaremongering thing in this country where we don't like American shows for some reason, but it's really popular. The broadcasters don't like them very much, it seems. They want British shows. Our kids should be watching British stuff. You watch old stars being interviewed on things like Loose Women, and they're like, yeah, British stuff. All my kids watch is American stuff. Yeah, because it's good, and we can't compete, and we shouldn't have to. Because we should be producing stuff that works for us, but we shouldn't be trying to compete with everything, because everything is against you in this day and age. I'm competing right now with Michael Savage and, well, Ian Lee, Mike Graham, Julia Hartley-Brewer, Paul Ross. I'm competing with all of these people right now, and I'm not even on the same level as them. So do you know what you do? You go, right, I'm just going to do what I do and get on with it. If there's an audience out there that likes it, fair enough. Just do it that way, you know? Obviously, doctor it from occasion, but do it the way that you feel comfortable. And before I go, actually, the reason I thought that the Newsnight thing was a little bit hypocritical was that they were showing clips from shows from years ago, including blockbusters, and going on about British shows when that was based on an American format. Yes, rather ironic and a touch unfortunate, but never mind. Never mind. We'll get there. Anyway, I shall let you get on with your piece of content viewing, whatever may be next. Maybe a game show, maybe Loose Women, maybe some random podcast that you heard at the beginning of this one. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe, because without you, despite me doing it this way, I would be nowhere. So, from me, Jamie Dyer, I say thank you very much for listening to Dyer's Daily. Bye-bye. This has been a South Waves audio production.